Okay.
On old-timey radio.
Okay, so I should do probably the introduction of this.
Welcome to Boneheads.
Welcome to Boneheads.
Welcome to Bonehead. Jesus Christ, James. For your first introduction, you suck.
Can you say Jesus Christ to college students?
As long as
you leave off the Christ?
As long as
it's Mr. Christ, Esquire, PhD.
Technically, as long as you are representative of all religions, so I'm going to need you to run through the others real quick.
Buddha.
Seventh-day Adventist.
Samsonite.
I don't know. What's going on?
This is Bonehead TV. What is different about this episode, for those that normally watch this, you'll notice this
Or listen. Listen. We have more listeners than we do viewers.
Because nobody wants to see these faces.
We have faces for radio. Anyway.
In our day, we all have faces.
We have faces. We have faces for telegraph, let's be honest.
Anyway. I am...
You want to do the rest of the song?
I am, as some of you will know me, Dr. James Thomas. This episode is different because I am killing two birds with one stone. I am teaching a class in higher education.
Shouldn't kill birds.
Some of them carry diseases.
Something of the...
Histoplasmosis.
What is it?
Ornithological nature.
Ornithological. I don't know. I got my PhD in comm.
Poor Tippy Hedren wants them all dead, I'll tell you that much.
Listen, you education geeks, get that joke?
This episode will be shown also to my class in popular culture and higher education. You'll notice that I don't get treated with much respect by these two. These people also, though, do work in higher education. To my right is Chad, who has worked at a community college and a 4-year institution now. And also there's this guy that we found on the subway. Joe?
I'm Joe Lewis. For people who are listening and watching really quick, this is going to sound weird. What we're doing is
This is a very weird episode.
It's going to be a weird episode.
It's probably our weirdest episode yet.
And
which
we've
is saying
done
something
some really weird
And we've
stuff.
had some weird guests. We're doing something a little different to help James out, and it's going along with their class. This is basically part of your curriculum, correct?
Yes. So a little bit, for those in the class and for those not in the class, one of the big things that really affects the I guess, kind of view of higher education is popular culture.
Oh, yeah.
And this is becoming more and more important.
I could throw the word in gestalt one more time.
Yeah, just throw out a couple gestalts. One of the reasons
this pork has got gestalt.
One of the reasons, as those of you in the class will read in the textbook, that it becomes really important is we do have increasing numbers of first-generation students.
There's a bullshit textbook for this. How much do they have to pay for it?
I got it for them for free. Because
College, religion, and textbooks. 3 biggest wastes of money.
I got them for free because I'm a good professor. Anyway, no.
I knew him before he had the piled higher and deeper at the end of his name.
Which is a form of, which is a comic that is a form of popular culture examining higher education.
Oh my god!
That being said,
it's going to be a Talkie James episode.
It's really important because more people are making decisions that affect education that don't have an educational background, being politicians, being people that invest money and things like that. So popular culture not only affects incoming student, it affects a lot of the politics that impact higher education, because we're seeing more and more people allude to popular culture instead of actual educational facts.
But what are we actually talking about for the people who aren't in your bullshit class?
I will have you know, it's not like it's a comm course, Joe.
I know. 600-700 level, whatever. So
anyway,
shovel it out.
What we're going to actually be looking at then is some examples of fictional colleges,
right,
that people quote unquote consume as popular culture,
that exist in books. Somewhat, one of the ones I bring up exists in books, movies, and television.
And comics and any form of media. So we'll be talking about a few of them. Now, the way this show works, for those that have never seen this before and are being forced to watch it because you took a class with
bullshit class. I'm going to show you respect.
I've taught your class before. Don't come after mine.
That was the only thing they asked. If you die again, don't send him.
Anyway, no, so... I forgot my train of thought. Oh, the reason I also wanted to include these people, though, is because when you take a class, you usually just get the professor's voice. And as you can tell, these people don't care about my voice and are going
to... Nor would anyone. Do you think they're sitting there and where's he at? Tuscaloosa or someplace like that?
Do you think they're like the Indiana Jones class?
It's like, why does this guy have an Eastern Kentucky accent? Well, down here in Mississippi.
Mer.
You know, actually, it's an online class, so I have some students that can be as far away as Colorado.
Mm.
Colorado.
Then they are baked, and this is going to be so much more fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I may regret including this as part of the class curriculum.
I told you we keep it clean. I have kept it clean. I've only said bullshit 3 times.
And just stalk twice.
Just stalk. And I'm pretty sure that means bullshit.
Which is the name of a really great TV show.
Yeah.
Just
So
stalk?
there you
Just stalk.
Yeah, just stalk.
It starts Penn and Teller. Anyway.
So, fake colleges
and
that have popped up and have had actually impact on culture.
and we agreed to do this for 2 reasons. One, James asked.
Right. And he doesn't ask
And I have
for
He
a lot.
doesn't ask for a lot. Well, actually, he asks for a lot, but he doesn't ask for a lot.
Right.
He's demanding, but never says it.
Right.
This is one of the verbal ones. So
Instead of the
he
implied.
asked for it, and for our normal listeners and watchers, we thought that would be fun. And then we thought it might be a little more tough, and it's not as bad as I thought it would be.
You know, I had mine.
You said you had 10 picked the other night. Before
No, I said I had my 3 picked in 10 minutes.
Whatever. And then I figured out, and I only asked for one. Oh, and really quick for people watching and people listening, you know I always have on a black shirt. What changed?
Joe changed his shirt for once.
Yes. What's it say, guys?
You need to go first. So you're representing
The first college I want to talk about that's was completely made up and full of crap is Morehead State University.
But after that institution.
But after that
I ever tell you about the time they terminated me on
They
my
ever
birthday?
tell you about the time they terminated me a year later?
I don't make donations.
Oh, it makes them feel better now. I'm the director of advising for a blah, 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 Research 1. No, I was the problem. Aren't you faculty?
Yeah.
What? Boom.
You know, none of the people that made those decisions are employed there anymore.
Boom.
Oh, no.
We're not petty.
Craig is still there. He probably
Craig,
had some
Craig,
say.
Craig.
That's probably had some.
No, I've been there. They don't
I'm
listen to him
joking.
at all.
I have a lot of fond memories about going to my alma mater. Not so much about working there. Anyway, mine was Miskatonic University. So I started to do a little research about it. Not a whole lot because I've been a Lovecraft fan. H.P. Lovecraft for you. I don't know. Education people read.
Yeah, we do that quite a bit.
Do they read fiction or do they sit there and bullshit chickering?
Well, I'm amazed you pulled that out of nowhere.
I know. Right.
Yeah,
I just
kinda.
Boom. Chickering sucks.
Wow. Oh, he does it, and you'll need to know him for your qualifying. Anyway.
Yeah. Good luck trying to apply all that when you get a real job. Anyway, so back to Miskatonic, and I'm giving you a hard time. Not that I don't hire you people all the time. I just want to talk down to them and as a joke, but I don't know that they're going to get it. So I probably
in
should.
all fairness, I mean, he's got a degree in communications.
Yeah, it's worked out okay. But that's true. It equals my master's equals a bachelor's in any other discipline. So when I actually thought maybe, and I was telling Chad this before you got here, that maybe Lovecraft stole it. Because the first thing I was going to open up with is that this was Lovecraft's invention. And I knew as soon as I said it that I would screw up and that Lovecraft actually got it from somewhere else, like Necronomicon and other things like that, right? And no, he did. And I was really amazed for you folks out there who may be H.P. Lovecraft fans or may have seen Reanimator or some...
I was saying, so a little bit about H.P. Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft wrote horror stories in the 1920s.
Yeah.
He was 20s and 30s. He is now considered a legend. Go back and reread it. I actually am not as big a fan. Chad and I talked about this. Stephen King's talked about this. I'm not as big
Stephen
a fan.
King was a huge fan, but now that he's
now
older.
that I reread At the Mountains of Madness a few years ago, didn't have the same impact on me when it blew my mind when I was 17 or 18 or whatever that was, which was a good time. That's when you should get into that. So Lovecraft...
When he was watching Friends and thinking it was the best show ever.
do.
That song has a unrealistic clapping
I
pattern.
still use...
Yeah.
I've actually never seen all the episodes of Friends, nor will I ever, but I still use that as an example when people ask me what you do, Chad.
That's true.
Oh.
He did it the other day.
I do.
You're Chandler.
I said, have you seen Friends? I don't watch a lot of it. The joke about Chandler, what does he do? No one knows. That's what Chad does. Something about training.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But something about training.
Miskatonic University.
Miskatonic University. So he created it, and the first appearance of it was actually in Herbert West's Reanimator, the story, which is odd to me. I just would have assumed it came up somewhere else. It would have taken place... Miskatonic University is a fictional university located in Arkham, a fictional town in Essex County, Massachusetts. It's named after the Miskatonic River, which is also bullshit. It's made up. After first appearing in Lovecraft's 1922 story, Herbert West's Reanimator, which, by the way, was the first Lovecraft movie that was an actual Lovecraft movie.
That cited him as...
There's a lot of people ripped off Lovecraft for a long time in the movies. That's a whole other show. But it was the first Lovecraft movie, but that's not the best, nor anywhere close to the best Lovecraft
It's still
story.
a lot of fun, though.
The movie is.
Oh, yeah.
I actually would make an argument that Stuart Gordon's film is better than Lovecraft's story. Just want to point that out.
Yeah.
To me, it's not his best. The school appeared in numerous Cthulhu mythos stories by Lovecraft. Once again, if you know, I don't know who Lovecraft is, you've probably heard of Cthulhu. The story The Dumb Witch Horror also implies that Miskatonic University is a highly prestigious university on par with Harvard, and that Harvard and Miskatonic are the two most popular schools for children in the Massachusetts old gentry. The university also appears in role-playing games and board games throughout the mythos, according to Wikipedia. Now, that's just a very general thing. People have stole Miskatonic University throughout the ages, especially in horror films.
I would say, and Mythos actually was the name of a card game that also implied that Edgar Allan Poe had something to do with Miskatonic University. It tried to connect all the genre of horror authors and how they connect.
When you pitched this, I said yes, but I thought it was going. I didn't know how the hell we're going to do it. So when I started doing a little bit and thinking about it, it started getting better because you're absolutely right. This is a made-up university. This is bullshit. I have it on my shirt.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was.
I work at a university. And I only own shirts that they have given me.
Yeah.
I went to that other made-up school called Morehead State. I may
Which
have a
also
couple
has a lot of paranormal connections.
It was a long story. I don't buy a lot of that, but I paid for Miskatonic.
But, you know, the thing about Miskatonic as well is that...
This has been the Universal Studios.
Yeah, well, and I was about to say, and it pops up, it's so easy to allude to it in different things. I mean, just as far as a paranormal institution, or that's connected to all these dark things, what better thing than a university where you're going to have? I mean, you have professors that are given research funding to do weird stuff and find old books, and I've been in the archives. I've yet to find anything that wakes a dead god.
Supposing he wanted to go that Dagon. Supposedly he wanted to go to Brown, and a lot of it goes there as well. And it would have been the only time he mentioned, most of the time in his stories when he's talking about the faculty or the students that went there, this is more for your students more than it is our listeners, it was all male.
Yes.
In fact, there's only one story, and I don't remember which one, has only one mention of a female ever being at Miskatonic. And most of the schools at the time would have been all male.
Well, especially the elite institutions.
The elite institutions.
I mean,
one that had some sort of ivy growing on them.
Yes. I mean, not to sound like Dr. Thielen, but your state schools, your land grant institutions would have been co-ed, and that was because they had to be to keep money coming in. They had to take who they could get, but I mean, Dartmouth made it until the early 70s before it went co-education.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 1970.
I also don't know where Dartmouth is. Is that somewhere
it's
in
Eastern Kentucky? It's literally 30 miles away from Miskatonic.
Ah.
And when you pass that boy on the bicycle that slowly ages into an old man, take a right.
And it was named after a horrible bar accident.
Well, if you put that on your qualifying exams, you will. If I grade them, you might get by. I don't know.
You'll probably get by and make him giggle.
I can't say anything because I don't want to.
Once again, if you're working on your PhD, I think you should do your dissertation on how doing a dissertation for your PhD is hazing. Just want to throw that out there.
It's the last form of legal hazing.
It is hazing. It is hazing.
No other time is it perfectly acceptable for 4 people to decide your fate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So
if you take mine, I'll just punch you in the face. By the way, that's the other thing I was going to say. We do not discuss what we're going to discuss beforehand.
Right.
So there is a chance that we're going to have overlap.
And there's more than a chance. I have 10 schools here.
Yeah. So mine is a small school in Minnesota. Now, back in the 1960s, it was in pretty bad shape. It lost 80% of its enrollment. The buildings were crumbling. One thing saved it. It became a more diverse school, so much so that it enrolled a moose and squirrel.
Oh!
What's the matter, you?
What's the matter, you?
Was that on your list?
No. That's great. I forgot. By the way, I was going through the list of top fictional ones.
Yeah.
Miskatonic was not on one I found.
No.
Really?
No, and neither was What's the Matter You, because I would have stole it.
Because What's the Matter, you, Chad, is
A college.
With
actually it's a university.
It's sorry. What's the matter, you? Yeah, it's a
It's
university.
a university with the
In
Rocky
Minnesota.
and the Bullwinkle.
So yeah,
Square.
it was introduced in the 1963. In 1963, it was in season 5, episode 9.
They were through 5 seasons before they got to What's the Matter You.
What's the matter, you? Yeah. It was created by, and here's how crazy Rocky and Bullwinkle is: George Atkins, Chris Hayward, Chris Jenkins, Lloyd Turner. 4 people created What's the Matter, you? Their slogan. I'm sorry. Do you know what their slogan is?
No, I actually wanted to know.
I'm excited.
I laughed when I found it, and I've laughed every time I read it. Our praise for you will never cease. All hail Magenta and Cerise.
What does that even mean?
It means nothing.
Well, just like your degree. Let's studying.
It's actually only, and it only was
Your
only
degree is so meta.
It was only mentioned twice. It was mentioned in the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie,
Yeah.
and then it was mentioned in this episode where
That's it?
That was it. That's the only time.
Which
What's the
is
Rocky
funny
and
because
Bullwinkle
there's
movie?
shirts with the What's the Matter, you logo on it. Because
I need one of those.
I need
That's
two.
what I was telling.
As a matter of fact, I have from the movie. A friend got it for me, the Talking Bullwinkle, and he only says like 4 phrases, and one of them is, "What's the matter? You is going to give me an honorary degree."
For you folks out there taking his class, now for listeners as well. For listeners, if you buy all 3 of us a shirt, we'll come over to your house and eat dinner with you.
Yeah.
For you all out there and want to pass this class, you best be buying a shirt.
No, that's not true. But What's the Matter, you? Rocky and Bullwinkle did a lot of commentary on communism,
Yes.
and things like that. So it would make
Here
sense.
you go, Chad. That's
you.
yours with
It's
the
empty.
empty one.
It would make sense that education was also seen as a way to combat communism. So it would make sense that Bullwinkle had to go to college, right?
Yeah. Well, and
I mean, yeah.
so they gave them
I
a scholarship,
guess.
and it turned out Bullwinkle was really good at throwing a football.
So what you're saying, there is a form of popular culture that ties athletics
That
directly
would
into
be
higher
3
education?
bullshit stories. 2 of them take place at a bull BS college, and the third would be, so that would be that, Forrest Gump, and The Waterboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Right?
Yeah. So they started winning. From the winning and the popularity, they were able to increase enrollment and rebuild their campus. Now the big game that was
always
the
the big
University.
game.
They played their rival, the Mud City Manglers, which included Boris. And
What? Boris? A Russian somehow had to fight Bullwinkle?
And he was on the Mud City team. Now this is a not only, you could argue that if you're talking about the college of how bad they actually were, but really it's a continuity error in terms of the show, because the show Rocky and Bullwinkle was riddled with continuity errors.
What?
It was terrible.
Jay Ward?
I don't know that I knew that.
Yeah, it was,
And I watched it as a kid.
and it was riddled with. If you watch it now, the show was very well written, but the continuity errors was terrible. And this is one fair example of it. When they beat the Mud City Manglers, they cut to the scoreboard, and the Mud City Manglers are up by 1 point. And they're all celebrating. Therefore, it says, hey, the What's the Matter University actually won. But really, if you go by the scoreboard that was just shown, Mud City Manglers won by 1 point.
That's hilarious. That's one of those things. Hey, it says 1. We got to go back and fix this. Nope.
Not when it's 1960s.
That's how we do Bonehead.
Not when it's
We done animated this.
We done. We
yeah,
done.
not when it's 1960s animation. And
All right. So this is going well. James, Chad, are you done?
I'm done.
You
and I
sure?
can guarantee you're going to
So
smack your head.
we have We have a paranormally linked,
Yes.
creepy university.
None of the rest of mine are paranormal.
We have a animated,
an institution of higher knowledge
learning.
with a moose and a squirrel.
which shows diversity of admissions.
That's absolutely correct. It also shows that
Is that in Frostbite Falls? Is What's the Matter You also located in Frostbite
Yes.
Falls?
Yes.
So where was Frostbite Falls? Is that
It's
north?
right next to where
Is that
if your
Minnesota?
check clears, they will let you in
I believe it
college.
is. I believe
Minnesota,
I
right?
believe I believe it is. I don't. Anyway, yeah, I'll have to look.
So
that
we
in
have a
with
New England institution,
Yeah.
a Middle
Minnesota.
America kind of institution.
Midwest.
I'm going to go with you got to go to New York. I'm going with Empire State University first. Empire State University has as its alumni a Peter Parker, a Emma Frost, Johnny Storm, and it was also the site of an experiment known the world around where two scientists, Reed Richards and the unfortunately named Victor Von Doom, were doing an experiment that exploded, scarring, unfortunately, Victor Von Doom for life.
Clobbering time 101. That's all I got to add to this.
When I was growing up, I read a lot of comics.
Oh,
And-
do tell.
I know it's
I can't imagine. For his class, I'm out of the three of us. I'm the only one who didn't read a lot of comics.
but it gave me false impressions of what college is going to be. There's going to be all this cutting edge science.
You're going to get
and
bit by a radioactive
Yeah,
spider.
there was going to be all this stuff going on, and there we were going to, and I was going to have a crazy professor that never seemed to actually teach courses, but always invited me
But your
to do
students,
cool stuff.
your students have
Um,
that experience.
Well, yeah, but I don't. Sorry, nobody's getting superpowers. If I expose you to radiation, go to the doctor at
In
once.
fact, Dr. Thomas should never say the phrase "if I expose."
And if you go by
Wow.
if you go by Spider-Man continuity, technically it killed Mary Jane.
Well, and that's the other thing is that we know this university exists in many, many universes.
Yep.
In one universe, actually, Johnny Storm, while he was attending, actually was sued by the institution because villains attacked, and he tried to defend the institution. He went Nova to stop them, and he burned down a couple buildings. That was a storyline in the 1990s.
Wow.
So, the interesting part about this is that recently, some of the storylines, and I say recently within the last 10 years, have actually dealt with what do we do with diversity and admissions, kind of paralleling a lot of the conversations we've had about affirmative action and access for people with different abilities. So much so that one recent storyline actually looked at a partnership between the Xavier Institute, and for non-comic book fans, that would be where the X-Men hang out, and where they train young mutants and things like that. Getting permission to do a scholarship and an exchange program to bring normal, quote-unquote, human beings in, and letting mutants do an exchange program. And that was a storyline that went through the Chamber. Chamber is a character that also attended Empire State University, and that was one of the things that he did, was do an exchange
You
program.
lost me. You've lost your class. You've lost your will to live.
I never had any. No, I wanted to bring that up, though, because now we have talked about one that comes from literature, one that comes from animation, and one that comes from comic books. And you see three different types of institutions. One that doesn't have a functioning scoreboard.
Nope.
One that tries to...
No, they had a functioning scoreboard.
Did they? Maybe they couldn't.
They couldn't do math.
Maybe it broke at the last minute.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go to What's the Matter You for a math degree.
Right.
But evidently moose studies, good to go. But I think we've already hit on three very different types of institution. I tried to find what degrees Empire State University offered, because they do have, I mean, their alumni are people that have traveled through dimensions and space and time and all of that stuff. But it looks like it's pretty much English 101, 102.
That Parcheesi degree is really important.
So yeah, I thought that was an interesting case where, again, we know that the heroes went there, and some of the villains as well, but we don't know what classes they took. We never spend a lot of time with them in classes. We know Peter Parker missed his graduation because Doc Ock, man, just threw him off.
Yeah.
Me?
Do you?
Okay.
What's their timeline look like, Jim?
We're
We got
good.
about 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So this next one's going to be pretty quick. You asked me about fictional, but I actually thought of it. Other than Miskatonic, the rest of mine are really about the movie, and the backdrop is this fake university, of course. But I have, and I knew you were going to become a Marxist later on for me, so I thought I'd give you that one. That was going to be okay. This one I'm taking from you too. I hope you don't mind. One of my favorite college movies is Back to School.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Not even on my list.
So Back
Rodney
to School for people that don't
Dangerfield
know.
is a movie starring Rodney Dangerfield. Harold Ramis, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, was one of the writers. I can't remember the director off the top of my head. I apologize to that person. Now, Back to School stars Rodney Dangerfield. His son, played by Keith Gordon, who would later become a director of his own right.
Which was mentioned in our previous episode.
Which is mentioned in our previous episode. And if you're taking Dr. Thomas's class, please subscribe on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, like and share on your
And
social
none of
media.
them will ever be this serious. And if you ever want
This
to see,
isn't really
This
all
is
that
serious?
No.
Do you want me to fart? I'll fart.
No,
I'll fart right now.
no.
Done.
What?
No, go.
We can't.
And thank
My
you.
point,
We can't take it back. Just
my
talk.
point being is that I'm actually being treated with a little bit more respect. So if you
You
really
are?
hate my class, watch some of the other episodes where they blatantly tell me to
So
shut
Back
up.
to School, Rodney Dangerfield plays a guy who's a millionaire who has a bunch of tall and fat, and are actually called tall and fat stores for men. And his son is thinking about dropping out of college, and he decides he's leaving his second wife, and he decides, no, don't do that. I'll come support you. I'll go to school. And back to school. And hijinks ensue. There's a young Danny Elfman in the Oingo Boingo group who's also in the movie. The movie's so smart it has a cameo from none other than Kurt Vonnegut.
Yes.
Yes.
Kurt Vonnegut shows up, and that's actually Kurt Vonnegut in the movie. However, it takes place at Grand Lakes University. And I looked this up. You know where it was shot?
Where?
University of Madison, Wisconsin. It's
Really?
funny to James and I because Chad had to bow out one weekend, and we got to meet, if you're fans of and watched previous episodes of Harlan Ellison at MadCon. But we've been to Madison, Wisconsin, which University of Madison was at Madison at Wisconsin, or University of Wisconsin at Madison.
A beautiful
It's
campus.
one of the most beautiful campuses I've ever been to. I'd go work there. Well, it's cold.
Yeah.
But it's on a lake and it's beautiful. But that's where it was shot.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
Which
I
it
wa-
could be an episode in and of itself. Where do they film all these fake colleges?
Fake colleges, yeah, absolutely. We have the combination to the air shield. That's an obscure. You think people understand that reference?
I think
If
some
they
people
watch
do.
or listen to us, they should.
So, and what was the name of that institution again? The Back to School Institution?
Back to school. I forgot.
Great Lakes?
And
No.
Grand Lakes
Grand
University.
Because Great Lakes is a loan company, which also has to do with education, but is not fictional.
So, Chad,
Every time I treat them like they are, they get
All
mad.
right. So, I'm going to the movies for my next one as well.
man, I'm having a hard time.
My college, you could say, probably has the worst completion rate in all of cinema history. I'm going to list some of its alumni.
Oh, yeah.
James Draws Andrews, Gutter, Mulaney, Raji, Pigman, Mersch, Cosmo, The Giggler, and Moonbeam. The name of this university, Port Chester University. The movie is known by its initials, PCU.
I left it off.
My wife actually said, do you think somebody will bring up PCU?
It's one of my favorite college
It would be
movies.
Chad.
Yeah.
No, I've only seen it edited on Comedy Central when they used to air it every 3 days.
Where is it? What's the name of the place again?
Port Chester University.
PC?
U.
Oh, do you think they had a double entendre there?
Did you know it was actually it's based on the experiences of the writers who they attended Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut. So it's based on their experiences there.
So, a small private school.
Small private school, yes. The campus is very split. Not a lot of people working together, but very diverse. A big diverse.
And diversity class is an old wooden ship.
I did look up their majors.
And a term you're going to
Oh.
hear in a lot of meetings.
So their majors range from everything from phys ed to Sanskrit. Joe mentioned that Danny Elfman was in Back to School.
yeah, he is. Oingo Boingo performs during it. They're at the big party.
And
they
do you
throw.
remember who performs in PCU?
I do not. I'm not a huge fan.
George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelics.
Oh my God!
Oh, I remember when
I've
Clinton
got the
addressed
funk.
Parliament.
You got the funk. You
We got
farted
the
earlier. Now there's a lot of funk. These people are getting their PhDs and listening to fart jokes.
Well, it's masters and PhD.
I'm so sorry, masters.
But no, it plays off the whole. It's kind of like it's Animal House if Animal House had to deal with a lot of political correctness. So there's this fraternity, this what they call a pre-frosh. Still, I like that movie, but I hate that phrase. It's about a high school student coming to explore the university. And for some reason he is thrown into this fraternity house. I never really understood. That's one of these plot points that I never understood. And it's his adventures with this fraternity as they do madcap adventures through campus, dealing with all the PC correct groups that are there, like the womenist and the
womenist.
Yeah,
not feminist.
No, that's a whole joke. Going, oh, are those the feminist group? He goes, no, it's worse. They're womenist.
That's a joke, you say.
But the cast: Jeremy Pivens, Jon Favreau, who is, as everybody knows now, is a big-time director.
What?
Doing Mandalorian, Star Wars Mandalorian.
Yeah. But the one person I would like to mention, just because he's a personal favorite of mine,
David Spade.
No, and I'm gonna
Roger Daltrey.
I'm gonna butcher
Sean Connery. Not in this film. He's just a personal.
But David Spade's also in this. He plays the villain, and oh Lord, I didn't write her name.
Troy McClure.
Melinda Walters, is that her name from Arrested Development? Anyway, Alex Desert.
Yeah.
He plays Mulaney.
He was in Becker.
He's in Becker, but he's also a lead singer in a band called Hepcat, which is one of my personal favorite bands. They're a ska band.
That's the reason I don't know them or anyone else does.
And by the way, is it bad that I don't get why ska is like an ongoing joke in several things about being terrible music? Because I love ska music. Shut up, Joe.
I don't think it's funny to you.
Yeah, it's not funny to me.
But the rest of us are laughing.
You're not laughing.
A little bit on the inside.
Yeah, because
I've actually not seen that many jokes about ska being terrible music. Usually I just read nonfiction and it's there.
Yes.
That was a slow burn joke.
Yeah, that was a slow burn. He got me.
Told you I was working up to it earlier. He was like, what is the diet?
Yeah, way to call that. There is a whole conversation about what diet soda is actually diet.
Yeah, what you want to listen to from a fat man in a Miskatonic shirt in his basement telling you this is the definition of diet.
The shirt that could be used to cover a car.
Oh, well, I got some checkered up there if you want to have a picnic later.
Picnic basket.
Hey, boo.
My guess is there would be fried food involved.
That's one of the food groups, yes.
Yes.
Are you done with
fried food is a food group?
It is in my country.
Oh my God.
They're in Mississippi, it should be. They eat those damn mud bug things.
What?
That crawfish.
Okay.
They do in Mississippi. Ask them.
Yeah, I've ate them there.
Okay, so yeah, that's my pick. PCU, Port Chester University.
I have to go with one because I actually didn't think of this one initially, and you would think, as much as it's one of my favorite things, it would have been the first I would have thought of. I will start by saying this institution, I had to bring up a copy of the courses that they offered. I'm not going to read them all because they have already established over 120 courses that are offered. That includes advanced subspace geometry, basic warp design, basic hand-to-hand combat, creative writing, diplomacy.
Christy told me I should do this one.
Exochemistry, fractal calculus, which I would have failed.
You know what it is, right?
Oh, yeah, I know now.
Quantum chemistry,
it's
robotics.
Some sort of academy.
Yeah.
Xenobiology, and the required reading text, as established by these shows, Prime Directive, Starfleet General Orders and Regulations, The Exploits of Fleet Captain Garth, the translations of Dr. Roger Corby, the military strategy of Klingon General Cord, the Picard, the Picard maneuver, a battle tactic devised by Jean-Luc Picard, the judicial decisions of Judge Aaron Satie.
Damn French.
That's the sequel to the Times of Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean. It took me way too long to get that long-ass title out.
The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and The Fall of Kang by the Klingon poet Gritok. This would be Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Now, is an academy really a university?
It is an institution of higher education. Yes, it is.
Because this was a fight, Christy and I, about Hogwarts.
And actually, that's how I'm going to close, because there's a point there. Hogwarts is not higher education.
Because it's
K through 12.
It's K through 12.
Okay.
So, which was actually how I was going to end the episode, but I'll go ahead and ask. If anybody's a huge Harry Potter fan, is there higher education in the wizarding world?
But do you have to have... Do you actually have to have a high school degree to join the academy?
Well, and this is a question. This is actually one of the things that I actually tried to find out, because as huge a fan of Star Trek as I am,
be young adults, though.
And I have absorbed and read. I've read non-canonical material, i.e., the novels. Do you have
what
to?
Did he say non-who? Isn't that the shit I scrape off my boat?
Non-canonical. I want to scream it like Louise Belcher, or no, Tina Belcher does.
So non-canon. So what, like a water gun?
Yeah, that show.
Okay. That's all I had.
It also requires a spacewalking course, which is 6 weeks long. But
wasn't Wesley Crusher part of the academy, and he was like 10?
He was specially assigned. But that's actually one of the questions that has came up, and I actually tried to find the answer to. Do you have to graduate Starfleet Academy to serve in Starfleet? And it doesn't look like that's the case, because there's some people...
Yeah, because did Kirk graduate?
Yeah. Remember, he cheated at the Kobayashi Maru, which is what you've got to do to graduate.
Which is what you have to do to get through college, is cheat.
Yeah.
He cheated.
That's what you're trying to teach your students.
Technically, it wasn't cheating.
He let me roll out with that and is not correcting me.
I'm going to just let him go. If that's what Morehead State University teaches.
Well, I told you, bullshit degree. One more time, though, for you people out there who want one of those jobs, manipulation of resources.
Because technically he cheated, was kicked out, snuck aboard a ship, beat a time-traveling Romulan, and then they gave him his own ship.
That's another Star
That's an
Trek
alternate universe.
I'm just saying.
In the quote-unquote regular universe, he got an award for original thinking.
Prime.
The Prime universe, as opposed to the Kelvin universe.
But still, in one universe, he didn't get a degree, so therefore, it's not a higher... I got nothing.
The point about all of this...
In abundance.
But I brought it up because it is somewhat interesting as an institution, because it has a military aspect to it. So it's kind of like the fictional West Point.
Oh, it has more of a military aspect. We've been talking about how the Starfleet Academy is full of shit for years.
Well, and the other part about that actually does come up is...
I don't know why I said that. I just wanted to throw out... Hopefully there's like 3 Trekkies in your class are getting pissed at me now.
There's a required class in Latin, too, which is actually... And it does keep with the traditional... Do you know the motto for Starfleet Academy?
At 2, Spock.
No, it's X asterisk Scientia, which basically from the star's knowledge, which is actually based on actual the motto of actual the Navy Academy, because it's actually theirs is X whatever, it's basically
marks the spot.
If their motto basically is from the ocean comes knowledge.
Verata, Nectar. Nectar. Nickel.
Nickelback.
Oh my God! Don't bring up Nickelback.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh.
And now they're not going to subscribe. We're losing subscribers.
This is the most interesting class Dr. Thomas has taught.
There's some people that would, but
it probably is for the 3 that find you boring.
You mean all 3 people in his class?
Hey, my class is always made.
How much are you paying for this per credit hour?
It's Apollo 13. Their original slogan was Ex Luna Scientific, from the moon knowledge. And that actually, they stole that from the United States Naval Academy, which was Ex Scientia Tridens, from knowledge sea power.
Comes a trident.
Which is Latin for God bless the bell bottoms.
For you killed a guy with a trident.
You probably should lay low for a while. That being said, Starfleet Academy
Oh my God, he's still going.
No, well, Starfleet Academy is the institution that gets referred to in Star Trek a lot, but there are examples of people that, quote-unquote, serve in Starfleet that it's implied didn't go to Starfleet Academy. So what does it take? Because you can join the U.S. military without going to West Point.
And it's all a little shady anyway, because it's not like we're talking about money for most of Star Trek. And
did Data go to the Academy?
He did.
Damn it.
It's Data.
No, it's Data.
Yeah. No.
There's
He
Hold on.
actually requests
Hold on.
CBC data.
Data.
I would say, and that's it.
Oh my God, I'm a nerd.
You're pronouncing it like Dr. Mulder, the lady that played the replacement for.
Oh yeah, Beverly Crusher.
Yeah, she actually that was one of the jokes that he made was if she would just say the name right, because she always said data.
Oh, you mean like Marlon Brando, Krypton?
Oh, well, actually,
Krypton.
But
really
he called it
quick,
Krypton.
really quick,
I haven't
jumping
seen that in
back
a long time.
to the Empire State University conversation. Does DC have a college?
We're getting to it.
Okay, I just want to because
Yeah.
that was
Spoiler alert!
no. This just gives people something to look forward to as they mute us right now. But I wanted to bring up Starfleet Academy because it is a nice parallel to a lot of the military academies that are higher education institutions. So, Joe, your next one.
I was going back and forth. This one's a little slightly controversial. Not so much because the institution is, of course, bullshit, but there's a scene in this movie that's controversial 30 years later that I don't know that people found controversial at the time. And we're going to talk about Revenge of the Nerds. And
Oh,
we're going to
Revenge
talk
of the
about
Nerds.
Adams College.
Revenge of the Nerds, actually, I had a conversation with this the other day in my drive home from Mississippi. That's a movie, people talk about movies you couldn't make today, and I would argue that Revenge of the Nerds is squarely in that category.
Yeah.
Because there are multiple layers of issues going on in that institution, or in that movie.
Right, so Adams College became a battlefield after nerds Louis Skolnick and Gilbert Lowe joined the Tri-Lambs, Lambda, and take on those cruel jocks, the Alpha Betas. Boy, they were thinking late that night. Mrs. Johnson's third grade class writing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I love the movie. I like the movie quite a bit. Arguably, the best way to get back at a longtime rival is to sleep with their significant other, and that's exactly what Lewis does to Stan Gable's girlfriend, Betty. When she's shocked at how well Lewis does this certain act.
But what was he dressed as?
We won't go. I'll get to that in 1 second.
Okay.
He has to remind her that all nerds think about is sex, so there's no way that they're blowing it, pun intended, I suppose, when given a shot. And the Tri-Lambs smashed the Alpha Betas in the Greek games because all 80s movies had we've got to beat them at the ski school, we've got to go do a sail-off, we've got to do all these things, to a musical ensemble that would make Mark Mothersbaugh proud, and Gilbert becomes president of the Greek Council. And Adams College, they make it a safe place for all people, including nerds and geeks and weirdos.
After they do
and all
horrible
that.
things to do so.
Yeah.
Now, here's what's controversial about that, and I find the reason I brought it up because there's some other colleges that could have went here, but you're trying to teach your class. Times change.
Oh, yeah.
They change dramatically, and they usually change first where? On university campuses. So we're seeing it right now, in my opinion, of campuses used to be a haven for free speech. I don't know that that's true anymore. I don't know that you can say certain things because they're far to the left, a lot of them, and they're not, a lot of students I meet aren't overly accepting of right-wing ideas.
Well, I think it also depends.
Now, I'm going a little bit off topic.
But I think it also depends on how those ideas are presented. And that's actually, sorry, if you took my higher ed law class, we talked about this a little bit. I think one of the problems is there seems to also be this idea to get your idea across, you now have to shock. And you get into, if you're doing that in a way that transgresses into hate speech or things like that, or contradicts the idea of inclusion on campus, that's when you have some trouble. But I agree with what you say.
The comedians deal with this a lot. A lot of comedians don't want to play colleges anymore because they feel that most colleges, which used to be their favorite 30 years ago, have lost their sense of humor.
Well, and there was actually a case, again in another class we talked about this, where the welcome at the University of Kentucky is called K-Week, but whatever your welcome event is to your campus, there was, I believe it was a university in Indiana, and they had a stand-up comedian come in, and students walked out because he invited a young lady who actually was a 17-year-old freshman, and he implied a lot of sexual innuendo toward her, and her being 17, and the student was obviously becoming uncomfortable because she thought, oh, I'm volunteering for something at college, and the comedian just kept going. Now, again, I have a great love of
That's
stand-up
a very
comedy.
severe example.
Well, that's what I mean. But then again, in the back of my mind, I have an appreciation for stand-up comedians, and especially that particular comedian. I forget who it was. It wasn't a very well-known name to me, but he was known for being a shock comic. Part of me wants to step back and say, okay, isn't that on the university that booked him too?
So
Anyway.
And much things have changed in 20 years since I was in school, and things that I got away with that I probably couldn't get away with as much now. In this scene, Chad, who is he dressed as?
Darth Vader.
He's dressed as Darth Vader. They are in it's not a haunted house.
It's a
like
fun house.
Fun house. And she thinks he is her boyfriend, and then he...
Played by Ted McGinley from Married with Children.
Married with Children. He does a certain thing to her, and he enjoys it. So I'll keep it PG-13 for them. Performs a certain act.
Yeah.
She enjoys it, then finds out it's him, and then that's called... She didn't give him consent. She thought it was somebody else, and now we call that what?
It's sexual assault.
It's sexual assault. It's rape.
Yeah.
And that's what it was then, but everybody laughed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't remember in 1984, now I was only 6 years old, a lot of people getting up and walking out over that. In fact, the most controversial film in 1984, or maybe 85 as I recall, was a movie called Silent Night, Deadly Night, because people were pissed that they made Santa Claus into a serial killer. I shouldn't say that's the most controversial. That's the most one off the top of my head.
that was the one
around
I can
that
remember.
At the time
I
that
can
made
remember
news.
Yeah, I can remember my parents talking about that. I don't remember Revenge of the Nerds coming up at the dinner table, but I would have been 5, 6 years old, and I can remember my parents talking about, why would you do that? There's other things that can be horrifying. Why do it to Santa?
So
I do
how
remember
the times have changed. So that was funny. I don't think you do that now. That particular scene, I don't see how you get away with it.
Also, there's a straight up murder in that movie as well.
What's the straight up murder?
When they first arrive on campus and they walk by the fraternity house, and Ogre is yelling, "Nerds, nerds!" If you recall, he's holding a man upside down by his legs, and at one point he lets go, and he falls 2 stories head first. That guy's dead.
That's just comedy.
He's straight up
That's just comedy. The
dead.
other's rape.
Well, and there's actually, I think it's actually an episode of American Dad, or maybe the Cleveland Show, but I think it's American Dad, where they go back and they have people that, because if you watch American Dad, Snot is voiced by one of the actors.
Curtis Armstrong.
Curtis
Booger.
Armstrong, who played Booger, yes.
And he plays Snot. See, anyway.
Which, by the way, also begs the question: how the hell did Ogre get into that college? Was it a scholarship? That's never explained. There's this real idiot.
It's a movie called Revenge of the Nerds.
Just saying.
Where
All the other
a guy goes down on a girl and she never bothers to ask, and he doesn't bother to tell her.
All the other characters in that movie, it's reasonable of how they got into college.
Actually, I'll make an assumption that it probably did happen because this is the world and
Yeah.
everything happened.
But how did Ogre get into college? He probably couldn't
Did he
even write his
was he
own.
an athlete?
That's what I'm saying. It might have been a scholarship.
Yeah.
I
There
don't,
you guys are stereotyping
No,
athletes.
I'm not stereotyping athletes. I'm saying that movies do it.
They're
which
not
is
all
another stereotype.
dumb.
No.
Just most.
look at
Because
Blue
all
Chips.
stereotypes have a
Hold on.
nugget of truth.
Let me go ahead and do all this stuff. Joe, now you were doing really well in your high school, but who got more credit when they graduated than you did?
Sterling Hayden.
See, Sterling.
You didn't see that name coming? There's no way in hell.
Sterling Hayden always gets all the love.
What's the answer to everything? 42. Hitchhiker's Guide.
Did those people go to college? Did
Hitchhiker's
Arthur
Guide.
Dent?
I don't know if Arthur Dent went to college or not.
It's a different time.
It's a different
Yeah,
time. Anyway, sorry. Revenge of the... I wanted to bring it up
No, I think it's
because of that particular scene, and I know it's Adams College, and we were probably should talk about more where the... But yeah, for your class.
no, but and I think the
That
same
was
thing.
okay 35
so
years
was
ago.
one of the requisites to be going into Adams College was that they have to be creepy and kooky and all together?
Ookie?
Yeah.
No.
No? Damn it.
How do you get that? If you guys had worked that just a little bit,
I know.
slightly nerdy, both of you, because it was off. Let's high five. Oh wait,
I was
Who's
never
next?
asked to high five as a child.
I
Thanks for that.
guess it's me. So
how many movies are we doing? 3 apiece, 4
Well,
apiece?
I've got
a
4.
couple. I think we can do 4. I think.
Okay.
All right, damn it.
All right,
So, am I getting paid for this shit? I get paid most places.
You've never got paid for Boneheads.
No, I've never, not one time. Not one time.
By the way, if any of y'all have rich family that wants to sponsor a podcast,
Tell them not to give their money to bullshit higher institutions and give it to Bonehead.
So, my next college was founded in 1898. It was so successful and well attended that it has its own bank and its own museum, which contains a lot of classic art. Here's some of its students.
I love how you do these, by the way.
Jesse Chambers, Stephanie Brown, Betty Kane, Jaime Reyes, Michael John Carter, Bite Me Bryce, Barbara Gordon,
That's an
Harleen
inside
Quinzel.
joke.
Yeah, Harleen Quinzel. Gotham University.
Is that DC's?
That is DC.
Is that the only one they have?
No, I'll do a quick
it's a
comment after I
Metropolis
talk.
University too, right?
Well, probably, but that's not the one I'm going to mention.
Oh no,
But some of the professors, Jonathan Crane, James Gordon, after he retired from the police force, he taught a course there, and Kirk Langstrom, which you know as Man Bat.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Kirk Langstrom's Man Bat.
Sterling Hayden. I hope somebody in your class Googles Sterling Hayden.
Hey, by the way, Joe, in case you didn't know who Michael John Carter is, that's Booster Gold. Jesse Chambers is also known as her superhero name, Jessie Quick.
how could we figure out who she was?
I have a really inappropriate joke, James, that I'm not going to do because we are doing your class. You're welcome.
But no, Gotham University. It's basically the main university in the DC universe. It has had a lot of share of its own share of controversy. It has had two football bribing scandals. The first.
First was a Full House, Mom.
The first one involved Jonathan.
Sorry.
What Aunt Becky's gonna screw
Aunt
up
Becky.
with Gotham University?
The second one was that what's her face from Desperate Housewives.
The first one was Jonathan Crane slipping the quarterback some fear gas and causing him to lose the
Fear
game.
gas.
Thereby, he illegally bet on the game to win money, to get money. The other one took place in the 2400s with Michael John Carter, which is what caused him to work in a museum and steal the outfit that allowed him to become Booster Gold. It also was a terrorist attack because Jonathan Crane really hated Gotham University, so he doused a lot of the students with fear gas. So yeah, that is. I believe it was created by Denny O'Neil.
So it's relatively recent.
It's relatively recent.
Denny O'Neil Crane.
But it has been featured in.
Denny Crane.
It's been featured in comics, the animated series, in movies, and even in television in the new show Gotham.
One of the things I did look up because I wanted to see if Superman went to college, because depending on what time period you read, is Superman just a high school graduate? And there is one story, and again, you gotta understand.
In fairness to Superman in the 40s, that's all he needed.
Yeah. Just like my grandmother was convinced I would be fine with an 8th grade education.
And look how
Times
well
change.
you turned out.
No, the other universe.
Should have been a riveter.
In one story
That
arc,
would be riveting.
Yeah.
the other
first time.
The other university in DC Comics is Hudson University. There is
the Hudson Hawks. Please
No.
tell me that's their mascot.
No.
Please tell me that's their mascot.
Catch the excitement.
But Clark
Catch
Kent did
the
attend
hawk.
classes at Hudson University. It's also the college that, of course, depending on if you're going by comics, that's the Dick Grayson attended Hudson University, but if you go by the animated series, he attended Gotham University. But the reason I wanted to mention Hudson University real quick is apparently Law and Order apparently takes place in the DC universe, because
Why?
Hudson University is mentioned several times in Law and Order. It's not a real university.
So you would imagine that that's not by accident.
I don't think it's by accident at all.
Well, is Warner Brothers make Law and
Maybe
Order?
Dick Wolf
I
is a
don't know.
huge fan.
He
maybe.
could be.
But out of the two, Gotham University is by far the more famous. It's featured prominently in a lot of the comic books, not just Batman.
Okay.
All right. So Gotham University. I will lead with probably one of the more important universities, which would be Huxley College. Huxley College comes from horse feathers, It's a Marx Brothers film, ergo Joe's Marxist joke earlier. But it's really important just as an artifact of how popular culture viewed higher education. It's centered basically around higher education athletics. Darwin College is their big rival, Darwin versus Huxley. And the idea is, there's a lot of jokes about, is college athletics amateur? A lot of conversations we would still be having today, and are still having today, in some circles. But the idea basically that is ludicrous about the thing now actually had a little bit more relevance at the time. This movie is pre-code, which means pre-rating code in Hollywood, but also pre-NCAA. There was none of that. There were none of the protections. This was a time when there were conversations about actually, people were dying in college athletics. It was brutal. And part of the reason that they make fun of this for, there were 18 people died per year in college athletics.
That's fascinating.
Anyway, they need to win. And so they go actually to a speakeasy, because it's during Prohibition, and recruit. They go to recruit thugs. Unfortunately, they miss the thugs and recruit two idiots, which are played by the other Marx Brothers. Groucho Marx plays President Quincy Adams Wagstaff.
Chico.
Chico plays Baravelli, who is an iceman who delivers ice, but he hides bootleg liquor in it. And Pinky is Harpo, who is also an iceman, but also a part-time dog catcher, as one would be. So they actually have to enroll them in the school, and they end up becoming football players, but then they realize they're not the thugs that they want
and
to help them win.
ensue.
And hijinks ensue. This film's really important for a couple of different reasons that I want to bring it up as an academic for this. More people saw this movie.
What are you smiling about, Chad?
More people saw this movie than attended college at the time.
So I'm surprised you've probably forgotten. He's doing a Children of Men.
No, he's done it 2 or 3 times.
I know.
He doesn't want to let
Okay.
him have it.
But I needed to bring this up for my class.
And that's the reason why I didn't put it on here, is because I knew he would want the Marx Brothers one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of musical numbers in it. One of the best musical numbers is when he's sworn in as president. He does an entire musical number called "I'm Against It," and whatever the faculty propose, he's against it. And he ends the song by actually saying his son, who attends the college, that he is also against his son. He never wanted a son. Some months before my son was born, I used to complain from night to morn, whatever it is, I'm against it. And that's how the song ends. So there's a lot of commentary in the time about what college was, what college athletics was, and even about the bureaucracy that they were even seeing in the 1920s affecting higher education. So I have to bring up Huxley College. Now, the funny part about that is, as Joe knows...
So you want me to fart again? I'll fart again.
Yeah, I think you should.
Done.
Joe, how did the movie originally end that they lost the footage for? Because I've had this conversation
You've
before.
told me.
Yeah, but how
I'm going to lick your hand. You put it in my face.
I know, you tell him. I don't remember.
The campus burns.
Yeah.
And they cut that ending, and now that footage is lost. But you can find stills of it where
So
they're sitting
many
there playing
fires
cards.
thrown away in those days.
They're playing cards
I mean, good.
as the campus burns in the
What the hell are you
background.
saying, fart boy?
I don't know. There's a lot
I
of
may
fire.
regret doing this. But anyway, the movie was such a big deal at the time that
Yeah.
it was the cover of Time magazine. So it's one of the first college film, not the first, the silent film, The Freshman, with Harold Lloyd was
Yeah.
before it. Which, by the way, if you watch The Freshman, it's the inspiration for The Waterboy, and there was even a lawsuit over it.
You said all that, and you said, what should we... You may regret this.
Well, yeah.
And I find it funny that none of you have brought up this next college that was... I kept putting off to let one of you all have it.
Well, I have to do the historical one. So what do you got?
So...
Are you saying What's the Matter You's not historical?
Well, it's the 60s.
Jerkface.
the historical one from the 60s?
nothing important happened in the 60s.
There's one that I assumed somebody would bring
I
up.
wasn't going to do it. I was going to give it to somebody. In fact, I didn't even put the notes here. But
You've got to bring up.
I've got to bring it up. And may I use a quote from the movie?
Yeah.
And this is going to be your PG-13 part of your class. Is that okay?
Mute it if you're offended.
See, Dr. Thomas, you fucked up. You trusted us. It's Faber College.
Oh.
Faber College. Faber College is from
Animal House. National Lampoon's Animal House.
And the short-lived spin-off TV series, Delta House. And
that came later. So
House.
This one I really don't need notes for. Do you want me to go through it?
Yeah, I'm so happy because our last two are going to tie together well.
Good. I thought, I kept putting it off. I thought one of you all would do it. It's such an easy one. So Faber College. It was actually shot in, I think, Eugene, Oregon. I know it was shot in Oregon. I'm almost positive it was shot in Eugene, Oregon. Universal could not have given two shits about this small movie. Where'd that come from? It's directed by John
Joe's
Landis.
possessed by demons.
Possessed by demons.
Get him a priest and
Do
some
you know the
Alka-Seltzer.
story of how it came about? So, National Lampoon's Animal House. Okay, first of all, we're talking about National Lampoon's, correct?
Yeah.
That was a magazine. For you all out there that are 14 years old, there used to be these things. They were paper, and they came like this, and you had to open them up and read them.
They were like books, but thinner.
Thinner, and they're tactile. You had to touch them.
You could throw putty on them and then come out and you'd be on the putty.
And that putty may very well be fairly silly. Now, moving right along, they had their biggest issue was the National Lampoon's high school yearbook.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, they had a guy writing for them. A few of them. And they wanted to keep them. And it was written by John Hughes. John Hughes is one of the people who wrote one of the yearbooks.
Yeah.
Was wrote on the yearbook. And he would go on to write...
Don't ever touch me again.
He would go on to write... I want to start doing the shitty ones like Curly Sue. But anyway, he gave us... I almost didn't say anything. No, he didn't. That's Cameron Crowe.
Home Alone.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, National Lampoon's Vacation.
Breakfast Club.
Christmas Vacation. He wrote all those movies, and he directed...
Jaws.
He did not direct Jaws, but he did direct Ferris Bueller's
The
Day
Exorcist.
Off. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the best Thanksgiving movie ever made. So...
Dutch.
They wanted to go do a Hollywood movie, correct? Well, the initial was to do the high school yearbook because that was but what's the problem with all those jokes in paper when it translates to a movie?
It's a hard R.
It's okay. Animal House was a hard R anyway.
It's rated X.
What's the problem if they're underage?
Yeah, it's bad.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah, even for then it was bad.
That's how it graduated to college.
Yeah.
It's directed by John Landis.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a small movie that nobody cared about, and it became huge. And I find that
there's a documentary about...
There's more than one
documentary. Well, yeah, there's several documentaries about National Lampoon as a magazine and what that movie did. And 2 and 4.
2 and 4. And I could talk about this for a while. I don't even need to look at my notes. If you wanted me to give you Maddie Simmons, who was one of the producers, Ivan Reitman. Maddie Simmons was also the editor for the Lampoon, or basically owned the Lampoon. Probably don't want to go into that much of it. What I find fascinating about it, and what you probably find fascinating if you're taking this class or you just need the upper division credit, is that...
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's fine.
I know where my bread's butter.
I think it still probably colors what a 16, 17-year-old thinks college is going to be like.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
I think they still think there's Pluto, there's D-Day.
Oh, yeah.
There's
he has no GPA.
That's why people join fraternities.
And that's a whole other episode.
Well,
and that's a whole other class for you, talking about Greek and the Greek society.
But I mean, I think the fact you can go onto a college campus right now, if I drive over to a college campus, almost any college campus, and I scream in the middle of the courtyard somewhere, toga, toga.
People are going to follow.
People are going to join in.
Absolutely.
And I think that movie had so many different things because the music, certain songs when I hear it now, I'm like, oh, Animal House, that's an Animal House.
So, and one of the other things you have to remember about the movie and why it probably resonates even more is it also, as South Park called them, Member Berries. It came out in 78, 79, 1978, I'm almost positive. Look it up. It came out in 78. The music in that is not from 78. The music in that, it takes place in, 60, 61?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a flashback.
It's a flashback, 20 years.
At the end, you get all where they are now.
Right. Yeah. But it's the same reason of, oh my God, I love Stranger Things. Look at all this stuff. Look at all this. Same effect. You just don't get it because you're younger or you're older. And 20 years from now, somebody's going to do something that's going to give you what I call member berries, or what South Park calls member berries. Oh my God, I love blah, 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 blah.
I mean, we're getting it now with 1990s movies. There's movies.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Faber College, really quick, I think that's the one that most people, Animal House, it's probably done more to influence what you think college is going to be like than any other film. And also, that's another movie that'd be very hard today. There's a whole scene with Bluto basically, once again, committing a crime by peering in a woman's room while she
and
is...
even some of the dialogue is...
Yeah.
And that...
And
I mean, there's some
Thomas
racial
Hulse's
things
character
and-
almost has sex with an underage. He doesn't. I just want to point out he doesn't. And he
Yep.
finds out she's underage.
And let's talk about Donald Sutherland, who's a professor, having a love affair with a student.
Okay. I think
know.
that still happens
That
a
still
lot.
happens a lot.
Oh,
It won't in this
Yeah,
class.
Yep.
Why not?
Right.
I
Did we
thought
both-
you were going to sleep with me. I'm not taking the class.
You're not taking the class.
He never looks at me during. The class? The class.
I can't.
Yeah,
It's an
well, I'm
online
pissed
class.
because I even went and bought the damn textbook.
Oh, you
I
should have
gave
got
the
condoms.
textbook away.
You
Well, I
filthy
used the
bugger.
textbook
Dr.
as that.
Thomas is at every port.
Oh my good lord!
he's
Why
like
did
a
I agree
sailor.
with this?
All right.
Next.
So Joe brought up Animal House, so I'm going to talk about a parody of Animal House. Yep. Written by J. Stewart Burns, Justin Adler, Matt Karras. Some of the classes: 20th century history, and it had a professor of carnival rides. Mars University. Robot House.
Yes, I was actually going to bring up Mars University.
Mars University.
So, where's Mars University from, Chad?
Futurama. Season 2. Episode. Oh no,
It's
actually,
one of the best episodes.
It's one of the best episodes.
But you were saying parody, and I didn't know where you were going. I thought you were going to go another place.
No.
Because it's kind of hard to parody a comedy. Is that even a parody, or is that more of a
Homage.
homage?
I guess it's an homage. We'll go with homage if you want to be Frenchy about it.
If you want to be accurate.
Some of the students: Gear Shift, Gunter the Monkey,
Oh, Gunter.
Philip J. Fry. What
Fry.
the hell? Fatbot and Oily.
Can I play Fatbot? Or is that too much on the nose?
Typecasting gets you every time.
And of course,
Walken says typecast means I was cast.
I mentioned the professor of carnival rides, but also Professor Hubert J. Farnsworth. Yeah, it's only in one episode of the show,
But it is a memorable episode.
It is
It is a
memorable-
very memorable episode.
and it's all about oh man, they even do a parody of an homage of triple secret probation.
Triple secret probation. They also do homage of what they have to do to get the whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that in the Santa Claus episodes. What else do? Because I'm gonna buy you so many stink lizards.
Yeah.
I say it to people, they just look at me weird.
Yep.
I can't imagine why. That's not obscure. I don't think it's obscure,
No,
but
no.
it's one of my favorite lines from Futurama.
I speak about 75% of what I say is allusions to something, and I am
I'm
so
gonna buy
lucky
you
nobody
many
knows
stink
what I'm
lizards.
talking about.
No, I just wanted to mention it briefly to talk about I had to mention Mars University for talking about fake universities because it's one of the funniest moments in television history in my terms.
There's
There's a couple, and we'll do a couple honorable mentions at the end because I know Joe had some left.
I
I am torn on a couple of my last ones.
Natalie Imbruglia.
Yes, I am.
We hadn't done it in a while.
But
I'm pretty sure we did like 3 episodes.
I have-
That's
say-
a while.
the one fictional college that I would be interested in going to just to meet one professor would be Barnett College. Do you know where Barnett College
No.
is from?
No, it sounds familiar.
Barnett College is one where one
Yes.
a doctor
Anticipation.
where one Dr. Henry Jones Jr. teaches.
I should have known that.
Indiana Jones is on the faculty. You can't get much better than that.
Only difference is if you've ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, he looks over and there's a young lady who has written "I love you" on her eyelids when they shut. I just can't imagine. I want you to picture Dr. Thomas
No, there's
taking
no.
the class, doing the same thing to Henry Jones Jr. And James closes his eyes and then moves his and it says "I love you."
Hey, we support all people on our campuses. We should, but no.
Got
But
nothing to do with him having a fascination with.
Barnett
And
College.
he's so scared of the dark that he's afraid to close both eyes.
I don't know if you knew that about Dr. Thomas.
Barnett College.
Petrified of the dark.
Yeah, so go into the classroom and flip the switch.
can't do that. It scares the
won't
roaches.
Yeah, flip the switch and put down a lot of salt. He won't be able to cross over.
That last part hits close to home. Barnett College is there's a couple scenes in it that you see
Your
on the
cholesterol
campus. That would be blood pressure. You don't know.
I don't know what the hell I'm
There's
talking
somebody
about.
coming to his office. He's doing the Ron Burgundy of just here.
After What's the Matter You, it was all downhill for me.
But Barnett College has the archaeology program, and we know of no other programs that they have. We see the archaeology
I
office.
didn't know. Where does it say he's at Barnett College?
It's
in the movies.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's in Raiders.
It says it?
Yes, Barnett College. It's on one of the doors.
Oh.
So Barnett College is the home of Indiana Jones. And matter of fact, one of the things that they did
It looks like Tab is sponsoring us if you're watching this,
as
by the way.
is a giveaway in one of the card sets where they do signed cards.
Mm-hmm.
You could get a degree where he was one of the signing faculty members. Basically, though, the fact is we know nothing about the student body except for it tended to be that a lot of women took his course and one guy that gave him an apple.
Yep.
We know that the campus is relatively good size from the last Indiana Jones film. And we know that he gets promoted to...
I don't remember.
There's a whole motorcycle chase in it.
Yeah.
Is that on campus?
Yeah.
And when it goes into the library, the guy's reading the book, and he goes, no, don't read that one. As he's being chased, read this one. That was the most accurate professor representation, because every professor I've ever encountered go, oh, you're reading that? No. Also look at this. It'll come in handy.
And then they just hand him a Playboy.
As if you were teaching.
Yeah.
No, that would be if you were teaching.
I don't read
Let's be
Playboy.
Oh, good lord. It took me a second.
Why did you lob that up?
I didn't even mean to.
But Barnett College, I wanted to bring it up actually as an artifact because most times in movies, Barnett College only exists to say he's not only an adventurer, he has a day job.
He has a day job
And
that he never shows up
Yeah,
for.
he never shows up.
It's a
like
day
most faculty.
Well, it's a day job where he takes sabbatical all the time. It sounds great.
Like most faculty.
Listen, I'm pretty sure if I go into my dean's office and say, listen, I found these artifacts of education from ancient China, and if you give me a semester off, they will be in the University of Southern Mississippi archives, and I can guarantee it. Just don't ask me how I'm going to get them. I probably, arguably, would get that sabbatical knowing that if I failed, I was fired. Do you not think that if you could go into the dean's office right now and say, Dean, I'm not going to say the dean that you work for.
Thank you.
But Dean, I can guarantee...
Dean Koontz.
Dean Koontz.
Dean Cundy. That is obscure.
Dean Koontz, I will come in and get you the... I don't know. What would he be? What would he really want?
I will come and get you the respect Stephen King has.
And all you have to do is give me sabbatical. Dean Koontz would give you sabbatical.
Dean Koontz is all over me.
Now, Dean Jimmy.
That's Jimmy Dean, Chad. I can bring you the sausage.
Jimmy brings the worst sausage.
I was going to say, if you look at his driver's license, it's not. So bite me.
Oh, he's got you there.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yeah, so
It's probably Dean James.
And I wanted to bring that up because most colleges is just to further the story.
Okay, a few notable, and I didn't watch the show, but Greendale Community College is Community.
Yeah.
I think that's one we probably should have mentioned. Harrison University is from old school because it plays a big...
Yes.
We did not talk about the University of New York, which was Felicity, when the whole show took place at the University of New York,
Yeah.
which dealt with RA. I've never watched an episode of Felicity, so I didn't want to talk about it. We have Pacific Tech, which almost came this close to beating out Revenge of the Nerds, but I had to do Revenge of the Nerds because of the scene. I thought it would actually be better for your students. That's the college campus for Real Genius, which is also another great... I really enjoyed college, right?
Yeah.
That's a college. And Boy Meets World is Pembroke. And here's the biggest one that I thought James would do.
Mm-hmm.
UC Sunnydale.
No,
Well, I actually
From
thought about
Buffy.
bringing it up, but UC Sunnydale is Buffy.
Buffy.
It's the University of California system, which does exist. They just made up a...
They just made bullshit Sunnydale.
Yeah.
Like most classes.
couple,
All the humanities.
Well, my one honorable mention that I'll talk about, and, it was important for the time, Hillman University. That is from Cosby in a different world.
Yeah, I almost wrote it down, and then I thought, I've already got Revenge of the Nerds. I'm not getting into the whole Bill Cosby thing.
And if you forget the whole Cosby aspect of it, talk about a different world, because there was a lot of stuff that was done that was important for racial issues through the show A Different World.
It was an important cultural show.
And
I don't know that A Different World gets as remembered as well as a Cosby show.
Who was the character that had the flip up shades?
Oh, geez, I could tell you.
Who's the actor?
It's Kadeem Hardison.
It's Kadeem Hardison.
I loved that. As a kid, I was fascinated by those flip up shades.
Anyway, that's a whole other show of what happened to Kadeem.
But no, Hillman University should be mentioned, because it did have a cultural impact on the time and on television itself.
Yeah.
So I'll bring up a couple honorable mentions that show how education has been viewed, commented on, everything else. One that has to be mentioned, and I actually have had students in the past write a paper on for an undergraduate education course, is South Harmon Institute of Technology. If you want to look at the abbreviations of what South Harmon Institute of Technology is. It's from the movie Accepted. And basically the idea of the movie Accepted is he doesn't get accepted. His parents know he has to go to college. Justin Long, I believe, is the actor. And so he decides to create a college, and he creates the South Harmon Institute of Technology. And of course, it ends with other people start showing up, and he makes it an actual university. And the president, I think, of the university is some guy they find on the sidewalk.
Louis Black,
yeah,
right. That's the actor, right?
And they end up and it ends up becoming a university. Camden College is in Rules of Attraction, but is also in any novel by Bret Easton Ellis.
Yeah.
So that's one that there's college sports traditions that go with that institution.
That was another one I just went ahead and left off my list. Nothing again. I think you're right, and that's for another type of viewer or listener who maybe not in your class who are huge fans of those novels. Because they all connect.
Yeah, Bret Easton Ellis. What are some of the novels?
Rules of Attraction. Than Zero, Rules of Attraction. American Psycho.
So, I mean, these novels that are very...
Because the characters do interconnect, am I correct? Because I know they do a little bit in the movies, but yeah.
So, Camden College is one that's in literature, and then the movie adaptations. Blue Mountain State is another one that I had an undergraduate student write a paper about. Again, this is not what you would call politically correct. I mean, it was a television show, right? And a movie.
Blue Mountain State?
I know
that was an actual TV show, right?
Yeah, okay, sorry. So
I thought you were talking about the one from Blue Chips.
But Blue Mountain, there's tons of hazing.
I've never seen it.
There's tons of hazing. There's tons of women being...
Must be getting their PhDs.
Sure. Another one that brings up an interesting crossover that never got explored but could have been California University, which was where Beverly Hills 90210 took place, and also was where Saved by the Bell, the college years. So they're crossover that could have happened. For younger people who aren't as familiar with Animal House, I know a lot of people came to Animal House after somebody went, "Oh, you like Van Wilder? Let me tell you what to watch." Van Wilder is Coolidge College. And yeah, I think that's we've hit on a lot of the major ones.
We forgot to talk about one of the more important, one of the more well-known fake universities of all time, Trump University. There you go.
I already pissed off the Boneheads folk. Now you're pissing off the conservative folk.
It just
in all fairness,
it just hit me. I'm sorry.
In all fairness, aside from that's not a political commentary. Trump University
it really existed, and it really was a ripoff.
Yeah.
And he really got sued, and they really lost.
Yeah.
Tech U, by the way, is He Got Game. And again,
I saw that one on some lists too.
Should probably not be viewed. Mm-hmm. Should not probably be viewed as friendly to the female student body.
No.
Columbus University Higher Learning.
Mm-hmm.
John Singleton.
Yep.
Yeah.
John
Rest
Singleton.
in peace.
Rest in peace.
So again, there's a lot of these out there, and
probably gave us one of the most important films of the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, we did this as a Bonehead episode, so hopefully the normal watchers got something out of this. But knowing that the colleges that we've talked about, the fictional ones, influenced so many people. How old were you when you saw Revenge of the Nerds?
I actually probably saw, because it was rated R. You got to remember,
8. It was 8.
I saw Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise first.
Same
Okay.
here.
I probably saw that because it's PG-13, which means it only had 1 or 2 F words in it. And
At
we've
the time.
already covered that.
You
that was
remember when Timothy Busfield walked in that pool? That's funny.
No, I actually don't remember anything other than...
The ogre pee thing?
No, I remember Lopan is the one who...
James Hong?
James Hong, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I saw that before that. Why?
No, I was just saying. So, because I saw Animal House now edited for TV, TBS, but I probably saw that for the first time when I was maybe 10, or maybe younger.
Unedited? Really?
No, on TBS,
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
edited for TV.
I thought you did
Which
have
is a different
cable.
movie.
No,
Blues
but
Brothers.
I had friends.
I don't think I saw Blues Brothers unedited
Did you?
until later.
Yeah, well, I mean, not now. They all
Okay.
left me for dead, but I think no, it's the same way. Blues Brothers. The first time I saw Blues Brothers edited, I'm like, Carrie Fisher's in this.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The TV
Yeah.
version usually cut out that subplot because it was the easiest thing to cut.
Right.
Yep.
That being said, though, so I mean, you think about, we saw so many of these things that told us what college would be like before we came to college, and that's what the textbook that we use or the readings that we use, really do look at. Why does this matter? What does it look like? But also, just for people just listening to the show, why is it so easy to go back to college as a plot device?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I hated high school.
So, I mean, for me, the way I see it is, people who don't go to college probably envision this great party place that they didn't get to go to.
And it was for some people,
and for some people,
not you.
Yeah. I had some good times in college. And then for the people who did, anyway, for the people who did go to college, it's what they like to remember about their lives. So it's an easy thing to get people sucked into.
Do you think it's also like an easy plot device, though? Because you don't have, like, Indiana Jones can take sabbatical, or you can take a semester off, or you can go abroad.
It's not as restrictive as high school.
No.
And it's obviously not as restrictive because I can't do a semester
You're
abroad.
away from home.
You're away from home. I can't give you an answer for your student that would be a quantitative being able to support that.
I think it's
But
just a discussion.
subjectively, for me, and all 3 boneheads agree with this, high school was probably the worst times of our lives.
It's a horrible way to spend 4 years.
It's a horrible way to spend 4 years.
Or, I'm sorry, Chad, 5.
5. I've
7.
I've said it. I've said it hundreds, not thousands of times, and I've said it on here before. Stephen King quote: "It's not that I hate people who enjoyed high school. I just fundamentally don't trust them."
Right.
Anybody that would enjoy that experience. I have several friends who enjoyed high school. A lot of people I meet enjoyed high school. I just hated it myself. And I have no desire to go back to my childhood. I have no real desire to, how some people, I hear it at work. I hear people say, I'm tired of these grown-up problems. God, I wish I was eight again or whatever. However, if you ask me what time of my life I wouldn't mind reliving, if I didn't have to go to class and I had money,
You didn't anyway.
I still made it. Morehead State. Never
It's never too late at Morehead State.
I
That
have
was
a
Maxwell's.
master's degree. Anyway, I would probably pick college. I enjoyed college quite a bit. But could you go back with what you... And once again, it's Back to the Future. It's all these movies. It's a plot device. And I think it's a nostalgia thing. And if you didn't go to college, Chad's right.
Yeah.
You kind of have an understanding, inkling of what that could be and what you know. So everybody went to high school.
Right.
So that's to me why I think it's popular. It probably is an easy plot device, but I think there's a certain amount of nostalgia for that.
Well,
Isn't that what I just said?
Yeah, well, he
Thank
said
you.
it better.
No.
But
I don't. I didn't mean to repeat you.
But I think that's it.
Just a parrot. That's all you are. A bearded parrot.
And we could. Isn't there actually a bearded parrot?
I have no idea.
It all
I'm
takes
going to buy
zoology.
you so many stink flavors.
Anyway, the other part about it, though, that I think about as...
But I have no nostalgia for high school, and there's high school movies.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with Joe. College was probably, in terms of my education, that was the part. Those 4 years were probably what I enjoyed the
You're
most.
becoming a man.
Yeah.
You're becoming an adult.
And don't you think also part of it is you have that, like, yes, you have core requirements you have to take, but once you get those done, nobody was making me take
I will
anything.
tell you why. No one told me what to do. And I'm very much, when you start looking at those stereotypical Gen X, all those things where you fall, I'm very much, a lot of that holds true for me.
Yeah.
Nobody told me what to do. I was disenfranchised. As I was saying, you know, generation, whatever that is, whether it's X, depending on who you read or what have you, disenfranchised. And no one made me go. So I enjoyed that.
Well, so we've talked about fictional colleges, and the reason that I wanted to do that for the purpose of my class, and also I thought it was an interesting topic anyway. You know, we could have done, there's an entire episode if we want to do, you know, movies that use, or books or anything that use real colleges. Stealing Harvard.
Not anytime soon.
No. Stealing Harvard, Beautiful Mind. There's a ton of them.
Harvard's been using a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
What's the Joe Pesci one?
Yeah, I was with honors.
I'm a bum.
No, with honors.
I'm a bum, but I'm a Harvard bum.
Honors.
Where he's dying of mesothelioma. He worked in
Asbestos, yeah.
But anyway,
as a merchant marine.
So again,
I remember that movie way too well.
That's Encino Man, right?
Yeah, Brendan Fraser.
Encino Man. Yeah, that's what I said.
Brendan Fraser.
Anyway,
and the chick from Chaplin.
If you're watching this from my class, again, I wanted to do this because we got different opinions than just mine. But hopefully you're starting to see that fake colleges shape real expectations.
Yes.
And get used in popular culture, get recycled, how all this other stuff going on. But then there's a ton of movies that use real college that also smear the truth. Beautiful Mind is one. It's a good movie, but the actual story
is bullshit.
Is different. Yeah. So think about that as you consume culture, and think about the ways that other people that aren't familiar with college don't study higher education. What does that mean when they assume that there could be a kernel of truth to that?
Yeah.
Or that it is all true? What does it mean stereotypically when we do stereotype Greek societies as toga? What does that mean? What does that do? And what is the expectation of a student coming in, and what is the expectation of alumni? All of that can be.
And for our regular fans, don't pay any attention to what he just said for the 30 seconds. Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And we will go back to the normal me being completely disrespected.
You want me to fart again? You want me to fart again? Done. Didn't even have a chance to say, yeah, go do it. Did it anyway.
It was just assumed.
That's because...
Done again.
Sir, you are a go-getter.
I am.
Yes. You do not lollygag when it comes to flatulence.
Done again.
For my class, I will go back to being professional next week.
I doubt it.
Well, I put on a good show.
Oh, I know. I've paid for it. It's one of those peep things where the thing raises up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's pretty, you know.
Don't stop using those wooden nickels. I'm going to kill you. Anyway,
subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
And by the way, if you did find this enjoyable to see me mocked and you are in my class, do check out some of our other episodes, especially if you're interested in making film. I will recommend, we have had actual people that worked on films. If you're a big fan of horror films, check out the episodes with Mick Strawn, Ole Sassoon, William Malone. So we actually have
Andre Ellingson.
There's other one that I'm
Bart
sure.
Mixon.
C. Courtney Joyner.
We can go down a list. Actually, now that we're saying them, I'm fairly impressed.
I was at a bookstore and somebody asked for a C. Courtney Joyner book, and I almost yelled out from the back of the store, "Watch Bonehead!" I didn't do it though.
You should have.
I didn't want to get kicked out of the bookstore. That being said, hopefully this has been beneficial. Hopefully those of you that normally watch the show will humor us this one time as we try to do something. Well, as I tried to do something academic. Thank you all for watching.
And thanks for Tab for sponsoring us.
Tab didn't, but if Tab would like to,
we'll take it.
Well, they could put it on our tab.
I was gonna say.
Oh, for our regular viewers and listeners. Oh, we just got some good news this week. We may be having something in the fall. We'll let you know.
Yeah. We may be not huge yet, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. All right, thank you so much. This has been Bonehead.
Keep coming to class if you're in my class.
To those listening to the audio version, James just waved.
Uh-huh.